It was a night like any other, or so I thought, until the unexpected happened. My best friend Laura's birthday party was supposed to be a joyful and relaxed celebration, but something was about to change. I was excited for the party, ready for an evening of laughter and good company. However, upon meeting David, Laura's husband, something within me shifted abruptly. The way he looked at me, the smile he gave me, there was an electric tension in the air that I couldn't ignore. Throughout the night, the conversations and glances between David and me grew increasingly intense. What started as a simple flirtation turned into something deeper and more unsettling. I knew this was wrong, that Laura was my best friend and any involvement with David was unthinkable, but the connection I felt with him was overwhelming. Every word we exchanged seemed to carry an emotional weight, and every accidental touch seemed to carry a charge of desire. When the night ended and I was about to leave, David stopped me at the door. He said he needed to talk to me, and the way he looked into my eyes made my heart race. The words we exchanged were filled with emotion and tension, and I left the party with the certainty that something profound had shifted inside me. The question echoing in my mind was, how could I deal with the overwhelming feeling I now had for David, knowing that he was married to my best friend? This feeling that emerged in the most unexpected way placed my loyalty and my heart in conflict. I was torn between desire and loyalty, knowing that any step forward could cause irreparable damage to my friendship with Laura and my own life. The weight of this discovery was immense, and I knew the path ahead would be filled with difficult choices and moral dilemmas. Laura, my best friend, is a charming, caring woman who is extremely dedicated to her family. We've known each other for years, and our friendship has always been one of my greatest sources of support and joy. She is a loyal and understanding friend, always ready to offer a kind word or a shoulder to cry on. Laura has a warm personality that wins over everyone around her, and her presence brightens any room. David, Laura's husband, is a sophisticated, charming, and successful man. From the beginning, he always had an air of confidence and charm that, while captivating, I never really considered more than a simple affection. David is the type of person who knows how to make a good impression and has a way of making others feel at ease. His intelligence and professional success make him someone admired by many, but what surprised me was how he managed to touch a part of me I never imagined to be sensitive. I myself am a woman who deeply values friendship and loyalty. My life has always revolved around mutual support and affection with Laura, and I took pride in being a dedicated and reliable friend. However, the unexpected emergence of feelings for David challenged all the principles I believed to be unshakable. With a life focused on my career and maintaining my relationships, I never imagined I would find myself in such a complex and emotionally charged situation. This trio, Laura, David, and I, now found itself in a whirlwind of emotions and dilemmas. The loyalty that had always been the cornerstone of my friendship with Laura was being challenged by feelings I couldn't control. The contrast between the trust I had always had in our bond and the new, intense connection I felt with David was creating an internal turmoil I didn't know how to face. The balance between friendship, love, and morality was about to be tested in ways I never imagined. As the tension between David and me grew, the situation began to complicate in ways I couldn't ignore. I found myself thinking about David every spare moment, struggling to push away the feelings that had suddenly arisen. Our conversations, initially friendly, had become charged with an intimacy I had never imagined. With each meeting, the magnetism between us seemed to grow, challenging my ability to maintain distance and rationality. David was also clearly struggling with his own feelings. The messages and furtive glances became more frequent, and each encounter felt like a dangerous dance between desire and guilt. He started finding excuses to be near me, and his presence seemed increasingly irresistible. The tension was no longer just between us but also reflected in how we interacted with Laura, whom we were trying to deceive with our false appearances of normality. The internal conflict I faced was immense. I loved Laura like a sister, and the prospect of hurting her was something I couldn't bear. On the other hand, the feelings for David were deep and real, and the attraction between us was becoming an uncontrollable force. Each thought about the betrayal I might cause haunted me, but the strength of my desire for David seemed to destabilize my morality and clarity. The situation became even more complicated when David started making subtle suggestions about us being together, as if trying to convince me that what we were doing wasn't so wrong after all. The desire to be with him was becoming a constant conflict between ethics and passion, and each attempt to rationalize the situation seemed more difficult. My life was in turmoil, and the only thing I knew for sure was that the path ahead would be painful and filled with decisions that could change everything. The complications began to unravel at an alarming speed. I started noticing that Laura was paying closer attention to my behavior and David's, as if something was out of place. She asked a series of casual questions about my relationship with David, always with a slight curiosity that I couldn't determine if it was suspicion or just concern. Each question Laura asked added an extra weight of guilt and fear. The situation became even more complex when David started inviting me to discreet meetings under the pretense of work discussions or social events. What once was a simple invitation became a regular ritual, with each meeting charged with intimate moments and exchanges of glances that made the growing desire between us clear. The problem was that the more time we spent together, the harder it became to maintain the facade of friendship and loyalty. I discovered that Laura was planning a surprise for David, a renewal of vows to celebrate their wedding anniversary. Laura wanted it to be a special moment, a symbol of her love and dedication, and asked me to help with the preparations. The irony and torment of helping to organize something so intimate while my own heart was divided were almost unbearable. I was sinking into a sea of conflicting feelings, between the desire for David and the guilt of betraying Laura's trust. The greater problem arose when David began discussing future plans with me, suggesting a possible serious relationship outside of marriage. Conversations about a future together filled me with a mix of hope and panic. I knew that the decision we made would not only affect our lives, but could also destroy the friendship and trust I had with Laura. Every day felt like a struggle between following my heart and doing the right thing, while the reality that everything could fall apart at any moment loomed over me. We are on the verge of a surprising revelation that could change my life forever. Click like and subscribe to the channel and stay up to date with every detail. Laura, unaware of our situation, organized a surprise party to celebrate their wedding anniversary with all their close friends and family. I was anxious and nervous but tried to keep my composure while helping with the preparations. During the party, as everyone was enjoying and celebrating, David and I shared a private moment where he confessed he was determined to leave Laura to be with me. The turning point occurred when, at the height of the party, Laura made an unexpected announcement. With a sparkle in her eyes and a radiant smile, she revealed that she was pregnant with their second child. The revelation was like a bucket of cold water for David and me, freezing time and making our situation even more complicated. Laura's joy and enthusiasm for the new life about to begin were heart-wrenching, especially knowing what we were planning. From that moment on, the reality of the situation became painfully clear. The twist was a shock not only to David and me but to everyone present. I found myself in an unbearable situation, where the desire I felt for David was now overshadowed by the imminent arrival of a new family member. Guilt and remorse settled deeply, and the idea of hurting Laura while she was celebrating life was something I could no longer ignore. David was torn between guilt and desire, and our conversation about the future was put on hold. He seemed to be pulling away, confused and distressed, unable to make a clear decision. As I watched Laura, radiant and happy, I knew it was time to face the truth and decide what to do next. The moral dilemma was at its peak, and the choice I made from that moment could change the lives of everyone around me forever. The night after Laura's pregnancy revelation, David and I found ourselves in an unsustainable situation, our conflicting feelings and guilt piling up with each passing moment. David decided that he needed a definitive conversation to resolve what was happening, and we arranged a meeting in a discreet location, away from Laura and the others. The tension between us was palpable, and I knew it was time to confront the truth head-on. During our conversation, David was honest about his conflicting feelings. He admitted that he still loved me but was tormented by the guilt of leaving Laura and the uncertain future that the pregnancy brought. It was an emotionally charged discussion, where both sides of the internal battle were brutally exposed. The pain and frustration were evident on our faces, and each word seemed to cut deeper. The situation intensified when Laura, concerned about David's absence, showed up unexpectedly at the meeting location. She was visibly distressed, and upon finding us together, the shock on her face was unmistakable. Laura confronted us with a mix of pain and anger, demanding answers about what was happening. The confrontation was a whirlwind of emotions, and the truth about our relationship was exposed in a raw and painful manner. The tension led to a moment of decision. David, pressured by the truth and Laura's reaction, made a choice that would define our future. He decided, in tears, to take responsibility for his mistake and try to repair his relationship with Laura, even knowing it would be a difficult and challenging path. I, devastated and confused, found myself forced to accept the decision and deal with the consequences of our forbidden love. David did what he promised. He distanced himself from me to try to rebuild his relationship with Laura. It was a painful process for everyone involved, and I was marked by a mix of relief and sadness. I knew I was doing what was right, but the pain of loss was deep and constant. Laura and David faced a long road of reconciliation and couples therapy. Their pregnancy became a central point of their recovery, a new hope to overcome the betrayal and rebuild trust. I remained at a distance, watching from afar as I tried to recover and move on with my life. The guilt and remorse for the pain caused were a heavy burden, but the decision to leave David and allow him to rebuild his family was the most honest choice. Meanwhile, my life took an unexpected turn. I started focusing more on myself, investing in new projects, and exploring new opportunities. The pain of the breakup led me to seek new paths and find strengths I didn't know I had. I immersed myself in activities that helped me rebuild my self-esteem and cope with the loss in a healthier way. The emotional impact of the betrayal did not disappear immediately, but over time, I learned to find peace and accept what had happened. The lessons I learned about love, loyalty, and the value of moving forward were crucial to my recovery. Although the pain was still present, acceptance and understanding helped transform the experience into a journey of self-discovery and personal growth. The journey of David, Laura, and me was a painful but profound lesson about the complexities of human relationships and the challenges of dealing with the consequences of our choices. David and Laura managed, with much effort, to rebuild their relationship, while I learned to value the importance of moving forward and finding my own path. And we've reached the end of this story, but there's so much more coming. Subscribe, give a like, and hurry to watch the next one that's full of emotions.